Okay, right. But before we really started, the chapter, I'm just gonna tell you that this is going to be a very long chapter. Okay, all right. It's gonna take us like 3 to 4 months to finish. And usually, some people they would consider this is one of the hardest uh, units to study because they have some a little more technical stuff here. Okay, but so that's why we're gonna take it slow. All right, we're gonna take things bit by bit. Yeah. So if you have anything that you would like to ask, yeah, feel free to ask in the class or after class. It's okay. All right. Yeah. So all right, let's get started. And okay. So I just want to show you an introduction because I'm gonna split this into many parts. Okay, for this part, I'll just focus on some items. All right, like costs, revenues, and profits, and you will see why I have to focus these items first. Yeah, when we go on. All right. Yeah. So let me just give you a very quick introduction to this, to this chapter here. Yeah, because the theme that we are going to study in this chapter is basically different kinds of market structures, and we see what kind of market structures will create market failure. Okay, which is something that I mentioned just now. Like monopoly. All right. So market structure is very simple. It's just like a model of different market. Okay. Yeah. And when you're looking at the market structures and you understand in different market structures, you have different characteristics. And if you belong to one of the market structures, you usually have some common characteristics within your firms. Okay, all right, yeah. So that's what we're trying to study. Okay, we're trying to identify and also determine the characteristics of different market structures and see if they can really apply into the real world issues. Yeah, so we will try to apply. Okay, maybe this firm is belonging to some a specific market structure, etc., etc. Okay, all right. Yeah, so different market structures, different characteristics, and so these are the four market structures that we will be studying in this curriculum. Okay, so yeah, so you can see it's almost like a spectrum. Okay, so this is what you need to remember for now. It's almost like a spectrum. So when you look at the four market structures, you can look at the most extreme cases, which is perfect competition. We have learned that in GCSE, and we have also learned monopoly in GCSE. So they are the most extreme, uh, structures within these market structures. Okay, because when you look at the two arrows below, you can see. Okay, so the blue arrow is trying to show you the level of competition. So when you are at perfect competition, okay, you are going to see the biggest competition within the market. All right, and in the opposite side for monopoly, well, we all know what that is. Basically, just one company or one firm dominating the entire market, and that's why there's no competition at all. All right, so you can see that spectrum over here, right? Yeah, and also when you look at the red arrow, it's about market control. Okay, yeah. So if you still remember something from not last year, 2 years ago, um, when we talk about perfect competition, because there are too many competition, and you guys are selling the same good, so you basically have no market control at all. So you cannot really control the price that you can sell for your products, right? Yeah. So at the end of the day, you have no market control. Okay, at this extreme side. But when you look at the monopoly, yeah, because they are the only one in the market, and basically they can do whatever they want. Yeah, they can just set up different prices because you only have one firm in that market, and you can only buy goods from that firm. So they can set their own prices. So this is what we would say. When you get to the right hand side, there will be more market control. Okay, so these four market structures, they are going to be the topics we will be studying. But before we study those four market structures, we need to understand some very essential ingredients. Okay, and those are um, what we talk about in the topic, yeah, in the title here. Yeah, some costs, revenues, and profits. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So you clear about the objectives of this chapter here. Okay. All right. Yeah. So at the end of the day, we are going to study the four structures here. All right. So now it's more like an introductory session for this chapter here. Okay. All right. So so let's go ahead and take a look of some costs, revenue, and profits. Well, I'm pretty sure we have learned that before, like 2 years ago. Okay, but here, we'll add a little more detail into the contents that we have learned before. Okay. Okay. All right. So here I just have a very simple, I have some simple questions for you because whenever we're talking about costs or revenue, we always look at three perspectives. Okay, we always look at total, we always look at average, and we always look at marginal. All right. So now I really want you to understand these three concepts first before we get into those items. All right. So here I have a very simple scenario. Okay. So we have 15 students in this class. Okay. Yeah. So technically 15 people. All right. So now each of you have to pay $10 for me. Okay. Try to support this very poor grown child. All right. Yeah, because I need help. Yeah, I do need help. If you don't mind, yeah, I don't mind if you just send me $10 every month. Yeah, that would be great because I have to go out for lunch every day. But the thing is, yeah, when we try to understand like total, average, and marginal. So in this case, what is going to be the total contribution? Yeah, after you guys have given me the money that I requested. Yeah, right. So it's going to be 150 for the total contribution that you guys will give me. Right? Simple, right? Yeah. What about the average? What about the average contribution? So average contribution, I think we all know what that means, right? So average, yeah, everybody that you are going to contribute $10, so that's going to be 10. All right. So but here is once again we go back to something we are not so very familiar with, and which is marginal. Yeah, the concept of marginal. So basically, is the amount the additional student contribute. Okay, the additional student contribute. So in this case, when there's an additional student contributing the money for Mr. Sun, what is going to be the amount? When there's an extra student contributing the money, what is the extra amount? Yeah, it's going to be 10, right? Okay, so yeah. So after the second student contributing $10, it's going to be another student contributing $10 again. All right, so that's the marginal contribution that we are looking at. All right, so as long as you understand the concept here, then when we get to the costs and also when we get to the revenue, things are going to be the same. Okay, all right, yeah. So now, right? Yeah. So there you go. All right. Yeah. So this is one very simple case. This is one very simple case to get you understand, total, average, and marginal. And we can do something more actually. So let's take a look of another case here. Yeah. So let's assume. Okay. So now each of you have some options. Okay, you can choose. Okay, you can choose to pay me from $1 to $10. Okay, all right. So now I really want your help. Okay, so now put a number in the chat. Okay, so if you really have to contribute, if you really have to donate money for Mr. Sun to support his living, how much are you going to, donate? Come on, put a number in the chat. Yeah, I think you really need to think about it. Okay, yeah, you don't want to be you know Come on, guys. A little contribution. Sarah, that's cruel. Hey, come on, Katrina. I mean, what are you people? Like, I mean, Gordon, that's more like it. I mean, you should like donate $10. That's the maximum. Yeah, that's what you should do, right? And that's how you should bribe your teacher. And in case your IA is not doing well, then you show how loyal you are. And well, thank you for the contribution. Well, I'm expecting the money. All right, very soon. So if you don't mind, later on I'm gonna send you my account detail and you just send me the money. All right. Okay. Hey Bryce, you're not even following the instruction. Well, but I appreciate that. If you are really sending me like $100, that'll be that'll be great. Okay. So now I'm gonna use these numbers. Okay, and try to play with them. Okay. Very simple numbers, but when we compile the numbers, we can see some combinations of outcome. Okay. So let's see. Okay, so now you should be able to see the Jamboard, right? So let me input some number first. Okay, so here we have like student name. Yeah, let's say. Yeah, I'm just gonna input some numbers. So just give me a second. So here we have Sarah. Yeah, you see here everything will be recorded. So so Sarah is giving me so you see here let me see how I can organize this. Well, I think I'm gonna do it again. Yeah, it's like working on an Excel, right? As long as you got the right organization, you can create something meaningful. Number of students. Okay, and here you have your student name, perhaps. Okay, all right. So that let me just take how many students? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, that's too much. I guess I'm just gonna take 6. Okay. So 1, yeah, 2, 3, 4. So this is the total students that I'm looking at. Okay. 6. Okay. I'm just gonna take the first 6 students. So starting from Sarah here. Okay. And Brandon. Right. Percy. Lily. Okay, Katrina. And one more. Okay, Maisie. All right. Okay. So what's next? Contribution then. Contribution. That's 1, 6, 7, 5, 1, and 2. Okay, and 2. All right. So from here, we are able to see something more. Okay, based on the data so far we have gathered. Okay. So we can now look at the total contribution. Okay, so total contribution. Yep. All right. So when there's only one student contributing money for Mr. Sun, the total contribution will be how? Yeah, what's the number? Come on, just put that number in the chat. When there's only one student contributing money. Yeah, so that's gonna be 1 in this case. All right, so because this is how we order the number. So there's only 1. So after there are 2 students contributing the money, then you guys should be able to know the total contribution when there are two students, giving money to Mr. Sun. That will be a 7, right? Okay, so from there, I'm able to construct the table for the total contribution. Okay, all right. So in other words, here, I have like 14, like 19, 20, and 22. Okay, all right. So yeah, does it make sense? Okay, yeah, and at the same time, I'm able to work out my average contribution from here. Yeah, okay. Oh, I don't think I have the space for. Oh no, I think I can. All right, cool. Yeah, well, we all know how to calculate the average contribution. You just have to use the total contribution over the number of students that you're looking at. All right, so in this here, look, it's just gonna be 1, and here, well, 3.5, and the rest of them. Okay, I guess I'm just gonna use my calculator here. Okay. Yeah, so if you don't mind, I'm just gonna quickly put the numbers here. I think we all understand what's going on here. All right, so for this box here, we're gonna use 19 over 4. That is 4.75, and here you have like 4, and yeah, right here, the last one, you have 3.67. Okay, so yeah, so from the information that that we had, we are able to show the total contribution and also the average contribution. So in other words, this one here, this contribution here, is going to be our marginal contribution. All right, because it is showing, when there's an extra student contributing money for Mr. Sun, what is the extra amount? Okay, so here, when there's only one student, that is Sarah, it's $1. Okay, when the second student comes in, which is Brandon is giving me $6. So from 1 to 2, that's a $6 of marginal contribution. Okay, all right. Yeah, you can also find it from here, from the total contribution, when you use a 7 minus 1, yeah, which will give you a 6. Okay, and from here, 14 minus 4, and which will give you a 7, etc., etc. So that's the marginal contribution that we are looking at. Okay, all right. Yeah. So there you go. All right. As long as you understand these concepts here, you'll be just fine. Okay, all right. Yeah, it's just how we all the different numbers and try to show different meanings. Okay. Is there any questions so far? Yeah. Are we all clear? Are we all good? Yeah. Cool. Okay, because later on we're gonna do a lot of these. Okay. So yeah, trying to make sure that we understand what's going on. Yeah, right here. Okay. All right. All right. So I'm just gonna move on then. Yeah. So very good, guys. Okay. So now let's take a look of what we really need to focus. Okay. So why do we need to study the costs, revenues, and profits? Well, like I said, this chapter here we mainly focus on the firms. Okay. So sometimes it feels more like business. Okay. But more technically. Okay, all right. We focus on the businesses, right? So, can someone just tell me, like, what is the major objective from the firms? What are they trying to achieve? Someone just give me some very simple, word. Right? Yeah, that's a very technical word. Yeah, profit maximization. Okay. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, well, I think we all have agreement on that, right? Yeah, if you are opening a firm, of course, the major objective, you are trying to earn some profits, right? Yeah, so that's what we do when we open it, okay? And, well, I was trying to ask you another, like a scaffolding question, but since Katrina already answered that, and I'm just going to show you, like, how much should we earn if we know the major objective, that is profits for the firms. Well, of course, we want to earn as much as we can. All right. So profit maximization. So profit maximization is always our main objective in any business. Okay, when the businesses they are getting rational. Okay, all right, yeah, right. So, but do you know what's happening here? Anyone who can describe, yeah, from the three pictures here, what are they? Yeah, what are they talking about? Yeah, you have Blizzard. You know Blizzard. What they do? Yeah, well, NBA. I don't think we. Yeah, I think we all understand what that is. But yeah, talking about those three pictures. Any thoughts? Or did you read any news like in the recent year about those two companies? Any things that you can share? Yeah, based on the two companies, what they had been going through in the recent year. Anyone? Come on, if you know something about it, yeah, you can just say it. No one? Come on. Or you guys just forgot, like, what they have been through. Alright, yeah. Well, if that's the case, then I guess I'm just going to quickly show you. Oh, yeah, Percy, yeah. So there you go. Right. Yeah. It's about, some controversy that was, because of the Hong Kong protests happened, yeah, like a year ago. And well, I guess I'm still going to show you a very short clip so that you are able to take a look of this. All right, yeah. So take a look of this video here. Yeah, it will give you more context on that case.
A Hong Kong-based pro Hearthstone player received a year-long ban and had his prize money rescinded by Blizzard. It's all because of a political statement he made on an official Taiwanese Hearthstone stream.
On the live stream, Ing-Wai Chung, otherwise known as Blitzchung, put on protective goggles and a gas mask before saying, "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our age." The stream quickly cut to a commercial break, and the video itself was quickly pulled and is no longer available online.
Blizzard then announced that Blitzchung was in violation of the 2019 Hearthstone Grandmasters official competition rules. He was also removed from the Grandmasters and will not receive any of the prize money for his performance in Grandmasters Season 2. On top of this, Blizzard banned him from Hearthstone esports for a year and fired the two casters who were hosting Blitzchung's interview.
Before we get into why Blizzard reacted this way over one player's comments, we need to look into what's happening with Hong Kong. The island is currently embroiled in months-long protests against the Chinese government. Hong Kong citizens, known as Hong Kongers, are pushing for more democratic reforms and freedoms in the face of what they feel is encroaching Chinese control over the island and increased police brutality. Hundreds have been arrested, with injuries being reported by both protesters and police.
So why did Blizzard ban a player and fire two livestream casters over comments about Hong Kong? As with so many things, money is probably playing a factor. Blizzard is currently receiving money from Chinese investors, most notably Tencent Holdings, the Chinese tech and media conglomerate that also owns the rights to PUBG in China. Another Blizzard investor, e-commerce company Naspers, also owns stock in Tencent.
Blizzard's games, including Hearthstone, World of Warcraft, and Overwatch, are hugely popular in China and its booming esports scene. The Chinese government controls what media its citizens are allowed to consume. That includes video games, and any statement seen as being critical to the government could cause a movie or game to be banned, which could be a huge blow to Blizzard's bottom line.
And speaking of bans, South Park was recently banned in the country after an episode aired that poked fun at the Chinese government. And basketball team the Houston Rockets of the NBA also faced the ire of China after its general manager retweeted a statement that was in support of the Hong Kong protests. China has blocked broadcasts of the NBA's preseason games as a result.
Now, according to Blizzard, Blitzchung's actions violated Rules Section 6.10, which reads, engaging in any act that, in Blizzard's sole discretion, brings you into public disrepute, offends a portion or group of the public, otherwise damages Blizzard's image, will result in removal from Grandmasters and reduction of the player's prize total to $0. In response, Blitzchung gave this comment to IGN. I expected the decision by Blizzard. I think it's unfair, but I do respect their decision. I'm not regardful of what I said.
And how does all this affect gamers outside of Hong Kong? With China quickly becoming one of the world's leading economies, Chinese businesses invest heavily in Western media, especially in video games and movies. Blockbuster movies have been pandering to Chinese audiences for years, changing ethnicities of characters, adding in Chinese product placement, even shooting different scenes exclusively for the market. Now we see companies like Blizzard walking on eggshells, trying not to upset its Chinese investors, even if it means censoring and punishing a player for making a political statement. We'll be
Okay, all right. I think we all finished the clip, and we all understand why NBA and Blizzard they had such decision, right? It's all about money, and some people they were very upset about that decision. How NBA they disapprove the manager from Houston Rocket, about what he tweeted, in Twitter, and also Blizzard, how they ban the pro player because what he said, because of what he said. But you know what? Some people they were very upset. But when we look at this case rationally, okay, we cannot really blame them, all right, because they're just doing what they were supposed to do, okay? Yeah, they're just being rational, and this is what we are trying to learn here, right? Because every firm, we know the major objective is to make more profits, is to maximize their profit, and what they were doing, they were just trying to maximize their profits, because when you look at the clip, they have so much connection with the Chinese community, okay? Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's Blizzard or NBA. NBA, they have a huge customer base in China. So once people they don't subscribe to watch NBA in China, they're gonna lose so much money. So that's why they cannot do anything to upset those people, in the mainland China, and that's why you had such decision being made. And also Blizzard, you heard what they talk about in the video clip. Yeah, they had like a very close relationship with Tencent and some other stakeholders, and that's why for the same reason they cannot really do something to upset them, right? So that's why you just cannot blame them. All right, they're just being rational. Okay, all right, yeah. So there you go. And in economics, we are just trying to use all these items like cost, revenue, and eventually profit, and we try to see the patterns, and then we identify firm's objective based on all those items. Okay, all right, yeah. So later on, you will see more firms nowadays. They are not really focusing on this objective here. Well, there are many more objectives that firms they can focus, and we will be focusing that, okay, using both diagrams and also theories to support us. Okay, so that's so this is more like something we start off with. All right, okay. Okay, all right. So so let's go ahead to the first item here, and we all know what costs, what they are. But before we really do that, I really need to do some recap first, because when we talk about costs, it has to do with something, okay? We need to go back to this. I don't know if you still remember, when we are talking about firms in the short run and long run, okay? They will be different, okay? The number of inputs that we are able to use in production in the short run and in the long run, they will be different, okay? All right, so here is just a recap, so take a look of this, guys, okay? Yeah. So if you still remember, in the short run, at least there will be one input is fixed, okay? It cannot be changed. Usually there are some very bulky machines or like factory, something bulky, right, in the short run. So there must be something that you cannot change. So there will be some fixed resources that you cannot really change the amount of it, okay? But once we get to long run, then we are more able to change the number of those items that I just mentioned. And here, because of this theory here, it creates some kind of environment to different businesses when they're encountering short run and also long run. Okay, all right. So that's what we have learned so far. And if you still need to take some more recap, so there you go, right? Yeah, we have learned that already. So in the short run, okay, when we talk about like variable resources, we talk about something that can be easily changed in terms of the number of it. Okay, so like labor, you can easily employ them, or you can easily fire them, right, in short period of time. Okay, but when you talk about like shop, okay, renting a shop, or buying a huge machine, that will take you longer time to make it happen. All right, so in the short run, you cannot really increase the number of days. Okay, all right, yeah. But in the long run, you can do whatever you want. All right, so all the fixed resources, they will become variable when you get to long run. Okay, so and that is why when you get to long run, you are able to get more shops. Okay, or you can get 0 shops. All right, because in the short run, when it comes to a shop, you cannot really get rid of that shop. Okay, once you have rented a shop, because usually when you rent a shop, there will be a contract, like a 2-year contract. Okay, so in the short period of time, you cannot really get rid of that shop, because you have to pay for the rent anyways. Okay, but in the long run, when the contract is done, then you can actually get rid of it. All right, so so in the long run, you can find another shop, and maybe you can just just cancel the contract, and that's why this is the difference between the short run and the long run. Okay, all right, so this is the concept we need to understand first before we go ahead. All right, and and because of this short run and long run, we learn about something. Something happened to our firm because of this short run effect. Okay, because we cannot increase the amount of the fixed resources. Okay, and that is why this happens. Okay, the law of diminishing marginal return. It happens. Do you still remember what that is? Anyone who can give me some idea, like what that is exactly, like the law of diminishing marginal returns. Still have anything with you? I mean, you can just interpret it in your words. Okay, and input. Okay, as input increases, output decreases. Okay, marginal output. Okay. All right. So if you combine both Mako and Katrina's answer together, that will be more specific and accurate. So as input is increasing, the marginal output is going to decrease because of what the law states. And also, Percy, there's an optimal point of consumption. Well, here I think we talked about production. I think you are talking about production, but that is true. If you're talking about production, there's always a point of optimal production, right? So once you pass that, if you put more input in it, the marginal output is going to be less and less and less. All right, so that's the law of diminishing marginal returns, and we need to use that for those 3 items that we are about to talk. All right, well, maybe just one of them. Okay, just cost. Okay, cost is more related to law of diminishing marginal returns, because when you go back to your demand and supply curve, you are gonna see, right, your supply curve is also equal to your marginal cost curve, right? And we all know that the supply curve is upward sloping. Okay, so we know the marginal cost is always increasing. Okay, it's always increasing in the short run. In the short run. So if you still remember this case here, Yeah, we did this like a few months ago. Yeah, talking about like a guitar workshop, right? Yeah, when you have the variable resources like the labors, okay, but you only have fixed resources for like tools, okay, or machine, right? So when more labor is being employed to make more output, you will see the law of diminishing marginal returns, okay, right? Because you see here, if you employ the first worker to produce guitar, yeah, so the total output is 1, okay? But if you want to produce more guitar, okay, and you try to recruit more labor for that, when you recruit the second labor, you see the marginal output is less than 1. Yeah, here is 0.5, okay, because you only have one toolbox here, all right? So they have to share the toolbox, and you can see how inefficient it is when you only have a fixed amount of resources like this, like those very bulky resources, okay? So but the point is, if you want to keep producing more, then you will see the situation is getting worse and worse, and this is what law of diminishing marginal returns is. All right, so if you try to make more guitar, and you need more worker to do that, and when you recruit the third one, yeah, you can see the marginal output is even smaller in this case. All right, so you need one labor to make one guitar, but you will need 3 more labors in order to make the second guitar. Yeah, because from 1 to 2, right here in between you have 3 labors that you have to recruit. So that's what the law is. Okay, all right. In the short run period, when you cannot change. Okay, so this is the key point. When you cannot change, resources like this. Okay, all right. Something like capital, when you cannot change it, this is what you will see. Okay, in the short run. Okay, so you're gonna expect when we are talking about costs, the pattern of so many different costs, they are mainly because of the law of diminishing marginal returns. Okay, all right. Yeah, you're gonna draw some diagrams when you are doing the cost curves, but so many of them, the reason why they are shaped in a certain way is because of this one here. Okay, all right. Okay, yeah. So that's just a recap, and okay, so let's go ahead and take a look. If we really have to apply total, average, and marginal into cost, okay, so this is what we are looking at. Okay, all right, yeah, and I think if you still remember what you have learned so far in GCSE, well, besides the marginal cost, well, the rest they are basically the same. Okay, all right, yeah, because you have your variable cost, right? You have the fixed cost, and together you have your total cost. That's it. Okay. And when you're trying to look at the average total cost, you just have to find, okay, you just have to find by using the total cost over the output, which will become your average total cost, okay? Or you can just simply add up the average variable cost and the average fixed cost together, which will give you the same thing, okay? All right. Yeah, but here it's just the marginal cost that we have another equation for it. Well, we just did that. Well, you can use the same equation for what we have done in the Jamboard, when you will find the same answer. Okay, so basically when you are using when you're trying to find marginal cost, so this is what we are doing. Okay, so you just need to find the change in the total cost over the change in quantity, so you can yeah, you can find something that's very familiar with this equation here. You are basically finding something like a rate of change. Yeah, right. Because yeah, it's a change of some variable over a change of some other variable. So here you can that's why you can find for the extra amount of something. So that is going to be the number, and this is what we are looking for, and yeah. So so these are how we can apply the total, average, and marginal concept into costs and also revenue. Okay, and when we get to some example, I'm pretty sure you guys know about this guy. Yeah, right. Yeah. So, can you guys just quickly tell me? So, if yeah, what he has to pay? Yeah, Salt Bay. I think we all know who that guy is. Very famous person for his steakhouse in Dubai or in the America. Yeah, if you are interested, you can follow his Instagram. Yeah, I think he has some very interesting videos. Yeah, from day to day basis. But here is my question. So if Salt Bay has to pay in order to run his steakhouse, what kind of costs that would be incurred? Can you just put some examples over there? So a steakhouse.
Food.
Oh, okay, yeah, Bryce. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, food, like food. Okay, what else? What else? What else? Yeah, like rents, labor. Um, yeah, come on. Anything else? Come on, just put something in there, right? Yeah, like pans, like frying pans. Okay, yeah, the food, right? Like meat, like electricity, water, yeah, etc., etc. I think we all get it. Okay, we all get it. And yeah, so there you go. Yeah, it's very simple. And when we look at costs, they are the costs. Okay, and we are trying to categorize them into different different categories. Okay, and we all know what they are. We have variable cost and also we have fixed cost. But do you still remember what variable cost is? So how do we define variable cost? Anyone? Okay, costs that increase when output increases. So that's variable cost. Okay, so yeah, you can see if the output is increasing, the variable cost will increase as well. So based on your answers above, what could be variable cost? So for that steakhouse, what could be variable cost? All right, yeah, yeah, like meat. Okay, yeah, that's true, right? Because if you want to produce more steaks, you need more meat. Okay, yeah, like labor. If you want to serve more customers, you will need more labor. You need more waiters. Okay, yeah, right. That's very good. So that's basically what variable cost is. But what about fixed cost? So how do you define fixed cost? Anyone? Fixed cost? Still remember what that is? Yeah, but Percy, can you make it more specific? Like it doesn't change. It doesn't change. Okay, it doesn't change when production changes. Okay, yeah, that's very good. Okay, and Percy, can you give me some examples from the steakhouse? Like what could be the fixed cost? Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, Percy, yeah, that's very good. Right, yeah, I think we still remember something from what we learned before. Yeah, don't we? Yeah. So so there you go. Yeah, like fixed cost. Okay, it doesn't really change even when the quantity of output is increasing, right? It doesn't matter how much you produce, you are paying the same amount of rent every month. Okay, all right. So yeah, that's so true. Yeah, rent. Okay, yeah. So let's say the steakhouse has to pay $5,000 of rent every month. It doesn't really matter how much they produce. They always pay the same amount of money for the rent. So it's a fixed cost. Okay, all right. And variable cost. Yeah, you guys got some very good idea as well. Okay, they will increase when the output increase. Okay, and they will decrease when the output decrease. right? Okay. So yeah, so you guys have some very good examples like labor, the materials that they use for the restaurant, something like that. Okay. All right. So there you go. So when you look at a table like this, right, you will see. Okay. Yeah, they do make sense, right? So here's the output. Yeah, the more output you have, the variable cost will be higher and higher. Okay, so here we're talking about the total variable cost. Okay, so in this case, right, and here the fixed cost. Yeah, it won't change. It won't change. All right, even when there is more output. But do you find anything interesting from the movement of variable cost? Anything that you realize from the variable cost? Anything? Yeah. Do you see any pattern? Oh, okay. The change in variable cost decrease then increase, and the reason is, yeah. What is the reason? What could be the reason? So now let's say let's use labor as the example in this case. What could be the reason? Okay. Katrina, yeah, economies of scale, that is also related to what we will be discussing here. But economies of scale, when we are learning this concept in further detail, we will be realizing that economies of scale will only happen in the long run. Okay, in the long run. So let's say here we assume that we are at the short run period. Okay, all right. So we are not yet in the long run. We're just at the short run. Yeah, exactly. Okay, okay, yeah. So there you go. They have some very similar ideas. Okay, yeah. Even for economies of scale. Yeah, you still remember what that is? Yeah. But diminishing marginal returns. That law has some very similar concept with economies of scale. And yeah, what you can imagine, when there are more waiters in your restaurants, okay, from the beginning, it can be more efficient actually, okay, yeah, because you can imagine some very good division of labor, okay, and they are more able to utilize the capital, okay. So this is what we are looking at in the first place, okay. But if we have that assumption that in the short run we only have a fixed amount of capital, if we employ more and more labor, so this kind of benefit will be deteriorating very soon if we employ more and more waiter for higher output. Okay, so in the first place, you're gonna see some better efficiency, but very soon, okay, because of the constraint that we have in the short run, things will get worse. Okay, yeah, suddenly things will become so inefficient, right? Because it turns out you have like 6 waiter to use the one coffee machine, etc., etc. Okay, so that explains law of diminishing marginal returns. All right, okay, yeah. So there you go. So make sure, yeah, when we are talking about short run, and when you see a pattern like this, it's always because of law of diminishing marginal returns. Okay, all right, yeah, right. So the shape of the curve, yeah, you can imagine, yeah, it will be pretty, yeah, peculiar. Okay, all right. So So there you go. And yeah, so when we look at the total cost, we can look at like total fixed cost. Okay. Yeah, we can look at total variable cost. Yeah, we have learned that already. And together, when you add up the two together, you will find yourself a total cost. Okay, yeah, you guys still remember that? Yeah. So if you just put all the total fixed costs together, like rent, like insurance premium, and some like your office manager salaries, together you will find your total fixed cost. Okay, and if you add all the other like the variable costs all together, then you will get that total variable cost. So if you put the two items together, then you will get the total cost at the end. So we will have so many different terminologies in this chapter, okay? Because we are going to split them into different pieces, okay? And here, yeah, even when we are just talking about total, this concept here, we can put like total on fixed costs, we can put total on variable costs, we can put total on the cost itself, okay? All right, yeah. So there you go. And yeah, do you guys still remember how to draw the diagram for the total cost? Well, let me just give you just give me a second. All right, yeah. So here's the link. Okay. All right. So anyone who can help me draw different total cost curves. Yeah. So you can just draw it in the second page if you still remember. Yeah. So yeah, you can just draw all the curves in one diagram. Yeah. So here, yeah. Let me just set up the frame for you. Yeah. So here for your y-axis is going to be cost in this case, and the x-axis will be your output. Okay, so anyone would like to help me? All right, so I would like to see three curves. One that is total fixed cost, another that will be total variable cost, and also the third one will be the total cost curve. Anyone would like to draw it here? Yeah. Any volunteer? No, okay, all right, yeah. Is that macro? Whoa. Okay. Um, right. Okay, so let's take a look on the diagram here. Um, okay. All right. Yeah. Well, it'll be great if you can give them some labels. Yeah, labels would be great. Yeah, you can just use the abbreviation. Yeah, so total fixed cost TFC. Yeah, total variable cost TVC, and total cost just TC. Okay, so there you go. Okay, all right. Yeah, so I think that's a pretty good one. Yeah, if you still remember the cost curves, right? So you can find out when we talk about the total cost. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys. Oh, if you're looking at the Jamboard here, right? The total cost here. Yeah, talk about total here. Okay, yeah. So we have the cost and we have the output. Yeah, we know that the fixed cost is going to be fixed. It doesn't really matter how many output that we have. So it's going to be a horizontal curve here. All right, yeah, and the variable cost will be increasing as long as the output is increasing. Okay, but you will see, you can see this shape here. This shape here is all because of the law of diminishing marginal return. Okay, we haven't learned that in GCSE because it wasn't required. But now, if you realize what law of diminishing marginal returns is, then it makes sense. So here, you can tell. Okay, you can tell the slope from the first part. Okay, is kind of getting smaller and smaller. Okay, which means that the output is running faster than the cost. Okay, does it make sense? Because like what we just discussed, you have like a higher efficiency in the beginning. Okay, but then when you keep recruiting the variable resources, things will get worse. So eventually, this kind of benefit will disappear, and you will see, look, the slope later on will go steeper and steeper, which means that the cost now is running faster than the output. So at the end, for the TVC, this is kind of the general shape that we would draw, okay, for our diagram. And for your total cost here, the shape is the same as the TVC, because if you know the equation, TC is just TVC plus TFC. So for each unit of output, the TVC that we have, we just have to add up that fixed amount, okay? That fixed amount of total fixed cost. So at the end of the day, that's why the shape of it is the same. Besides, you will see a gap between the two. You see the gap between the two? Yeah, this vertical gap here, that's the amount of TFC. So if the TFC, the amount is X, then this will be X. Okay, this will be X as well. All right, this will be also X. Okay, because you are just adding up that fixed amount of TFC into the TVC here. So so there you go. All right. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think I'm gonna end it here, and we are gonna do some recap. Yeah, next week. Okay. So if you have any questions, feel free to put it in WhatsApp. Okay. Or you can just send me some emails. All right. Yeah. Sorry to overrun the class. And I'm just gonna see you guys on Friday. Okay. All right. Bye guys. Okay. Bye.